It's the one-day internationals now. We're done with T20s, and so here we are on My 11th Circle presents Cricbuzz Live in association with the Weather Channel. Now, we have an association with the Weather Channel, so the first thing we do is we start looking at the weather. And guess where we're playing? We're playing in Guyana, and every time you play in Guyana, as Mikey Holding once said when I was there for the first time, when you play in Guyana, you invite the rain. It's raining a bit at the moment. Hopefully there's enough time for them to make up in case there's a delayed start, which, I mean, there will be a delayed start. So we have enough time to make up, so don't worry, we will get a game. That leaves us to chat with Aakash Chopra and Zaheer Khan. It's interesting, isn't it? Today is the 8th, 11th. It's literally been a month, less than a month, since that traumatic, almost for a lot of Indian fans, exit from the World Cup. And there you're playing one-day internationals again.
Well, that's the way it has been, actually. It's like a non-stop treadmill. So once you're on it, it just does not stop. This year is going to be slightly different, let's be fair. It has taken a month for us to play another ODI. Come the next few months, you'll see fewer ODIs, more T20Is. Yes, a few test matches thrown into the mix. So everything is now getting prepared, or rather, we're heading towards the World T20 in 2020. So that's next year. But yes, a month since India got knocked out of the World Cup, lost to New Zealand. We're back again.
For a lot of the fans, say, so what are you playing for? Is there a context? The word comes in very often, is there a context? For a player, though, playing for your country in a one-day international is still the best you can be, right? That's what you play for. So when you're taking the field, are you thinking, but there's no context? Are you thinking, there's a chance for me to play for India?
I think what's happening over the years now is that everyone, the viewers, are also enjoying when there are more than two teams participating. Possibly one reason can be that, because bilateral series, you pretty much know that okay, India playing West Indies, and the result, if the competition is not there of the highest quality, then what happens? The results are expected. You know that with the T20 series also, you've seen India won the series 3-0. If you kind of anticipate that, then the viewing becomes a touch boring, maybe. That there is no excitement, there is no ups and downs. And what viewers like to see is some kind of competition. There is up and down of the game, how it goes, the strategies, the different strategies being used. In bilateral series, pretty much what happens, you've seen that certain bowlers start the series well and then they taper down. So that is an exciting factor of any bilateral series, I would say, be it batting or bowling. Those kind of battles you want to see more. And when you don't see that often, then I think that boredom settles in. And that's something then comes up with a question like, oh, what is the context?
No, he says absolutely right. Let me just go a step further, actually. So our game demands two things. One is the context, the other is the contest. So context will come only if something is riding on that series. And contest, of course, the quality of two sides participating. In this case, for sure that India is a much better side. West Indies did punch above their weight a little bit, but then they still had to qualify for the World Cup. And all their players, once again, will not be together, and that's the way they are when they play international cricket. And you talk about the context, the World Cup is just over. Virat Kohli was talking about 2023. We don't want to prepare. We don't even want to think about it, because actually, 4 years before the tournament.
Since you say so, we've got the quote from Virat Kohli.
Let's go there first, and we'll come back.
You were referring to it. This is what Virat Kohli said when he was asked about looking ahead.
It's too far away to think about 2023 right now. For us, the priority always has been to be one of the most consistent sides in the world, and I think in the last 3-4 years we have been able to achieve that with the number 2 side in the world, and there's a good reason for that. Been going at 1 as well sometime, and it's the kind of cricket we have played for the last 2-3 years that has gotten us up there. And 23 is too far away, to be honest. I mean, you really start planning for the World Cup and looking forward to it 12 months to go, not 4 years away. So I think the priority is to keep Indian cricket at the top, play consistent cricket, go out there and win games and find ways to win games for your team. And that's the reason we are one of the top sides in the world.
So, for example, if you are a Shreyas Iyer or a Manish Pandey, you're saying, I start playing well here, I can look 4 years ahead. I missed this World Cup, I can play there. If you're Chahal, you're thinking Rahul Chahar is coming, let me. So at individual level, there's still a bit to play for.
Without doubt, it's still playing for India. Let's be fair. All of us have always grown up hoping that one day, dreaming that one day we'll play for India. And whenever you step onto the field wearing those India colours, there's never a bigger high. Whether you're a Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, or a UZ Chahal, or somebody who's playing his first game as Rahul Chahar was in the last encounter. But coming back to the original question, I personally feel that one day cricket, 50 over cricket is struggling. It's actually struggling quite a bit as a contest, as a format. It needs something. It needs a shot in the arm. What it is likely to be, I don't have a concrete answer to that. But the fact remains that bilateral series, it doesn't excite me anymore. 3 matches, 5 matches. By the 5th match, you also don't remember, even while you're covering it, who scored runs in the first game, who got out, which way in the second game. And it doesn't really add to the drama. And there are far too many. In fact, in a 100 over game, 50 on each side, there are at least 45 to 50 overs of nothing happening. The game meanders along. And that's not what you want.
So that is why you must watch Cricbuzz live. Because in Cricbuzz live, everybody has their opinion. Where will you find at the start of a one-day tournament our experts being as candid as that, saying actually you need a context? So well done. Let's look a little ahead for India. I mean, there's a start of a World Test Championship. I've had people telling me, you know what, I'm so excited. 2 years later, there's going to be one match. So how am I going to get excited? What it does, though, with the point system, it gives you the ability to earn some points. Australia have 1-0, but they've also got 24 points somewhere in their in their portfolio. ODI Championship, they're getting points that are adding up to something else. No, here I am building it up, saying, you know what, Zach point.
For test matches, I would say it's good because that is one way of holding on to what's happening around in test cricket. So by that logic, and anyways, test matches runs at a very slow pace. So by that logic, 2 years to get a result of a championship, I think it's fine.
But you agree with him?
We'll live with that.
You agree with him? One day cricket, it needs a shot in the arm. It needs something.
Well, like I said, there has to be competition, and when there is competition, then that excitement, that interest is naturally developed. So what's happening, unfortunately, how many series you are seeing which are going in the last 5 overs of any ODI match for the result to come out, So if those kind of results are happening consistently, then that excitement, that interest develops naturally, which did happen in the World Cup. And then see what kind of games World Cup has produced. They weren't like those 300 plus games, but there was even contest between bat and ball, and
yet,
that's something which generated enough.
And yet, of the 48 games in the World Cup, I think there were 11 or so that came close. The ones that came close were thrilling. I mean, you'll always remember New Zealand versus West Indies, right? You'll remember those games.
1 in 4, that's my problem.
Yeah.
So 1 in 4 is not good enough. So 1 in 4, see why we still have, and I agree with Zaheer, we were all covering the World Cup and we enjoyed it because every game had a context in terms of the entire tournament, even though that particular contest had nothing. So India playing against, say, West Indies, it was a lopsided event.
But it meant something for somebody else.
Exactly. And for you as well, because you wanted to finish at 1 or 2 or somewhere else.
It's peculiar in the current political context, and we'll stay away from that, but just to put it in, that Pakistan was supporting India.
Correct. And so was...
And then they were supporting New Zealand.
Exactly.
So that was part of the fun of being at the World Cup. And I think to that extent, what Zach says, if you've got 3 or 4 nations playing together, then your team may not be playing, but your team can get affected by what somebody else is.
That's why Asia Cup was not too bad. Yeah. Asia Cup was all right. World Cup, of course, then there is some drama happening. Every game has some context. If there is no context, see, contest problem is that you can't guarantee contest. Now, for that to happen, India will have to say, we will not play Afghanistan, we will not play West Indies, we will not play Bangladesh. Any team that's not challenging us enough, we are not going to play. That's not going to happen. It's unrealistic and it should not happen. But so what can you do? What's the next best thing that you could do is create some context, because context is beyond you. So context can only happen.
So you like an idea of an ODI Test Championship?
No,
whatever.
so see, ODI has a World Cup every 4 years.
Yes.
So if you're building to something...
You're building to that World Cup.
Exactly.
So should the World Cup then, here's a thought, there's a World Cup every 4 years. Should the World Cup be every 4 years then? Because in between then, as Virat said, and Virat is right, you don't start planning for 2023 today. Do you want a World Cup every 2 years?
See, Champions
So you
Trophy,
have
that's why it was very good.
every
I like the
alternate year,
tournament.
you have a World T20 or a World Cup, or a World T20 or a World Cup. Every alternate year, there is something to it.
But that's why those Champions Trophy kind of a tournament
Yeah.
was
But that's gone.
was good
That's
because
gone,
it
yeah.
was it started as mini World Cup.
Yes.
You know, it started off like that.
You know, it
and
started as a knockout actually, remember? It's a
Yes,
knockout tournament.
It used to be knockout tournament, and then
Where of course
then the format changed.
Where of course we
Then-
first saw this
then it-
left-hander, the big jump and the Yorker.
bowling quick, actually.
Yes.
and then it disappeared also for a while, and then
Yes.
it came back, and now it's now the news is that it's going to be scrapped.
Yeah.
So I think there should be more multi-nation tournaments. That's something which can keep viewers engaged through and through when the tournament is happening. Over the period of time, what we've seen now, the T20 is growing. I mean, there is no denying of that fact. You can talk whatever. Test cricket will survive. I have no doubt about Test cricket surviving. It's just the format which is going to take a hit is ODI format. And so to build that that interest and to have that following going on, I think multi-nation tournaments is not a bad way of looking at it. So far, everyone has been looking at changing the rules, you know, somehow creating that interest level by having more runs scored. I think, you know, that's where the vision is lost. I think the vision should be intact in terms of keeping the competition going. I mean, why T20 format suddenly has grown in popularity is because the games go to the last over, and the unpredictability of the game keeps that excitement going. So for ODI, either you have the strong teams playing against each other, or you have some kind of context which a multi-nation tournament brings naturally to the table. Keep it going, because, you know, then every game has some kind of context, and that
They should have
that keeps the
handicaps.
following going.
Maybe they should have handicaps like in golf. Team 1 versus Team 9. Team 9 gets extra 20 runs to play with. But I'll tell you what, for the players involved though, it's still an opportunity, as you said, for Kuldeep Yadav, for Shreyas Iyer, for Manish Pandey. It's still. So let's take a look at that Indian side, because during the World Cup, there was one big hole over there. No, number 6 was a gap, number 4 was a hole. Now, I wonder if part of the build-up to whether it's 2023 or just building a good all-round side is to seal that number 4. Because look what happened in the New Zealand game. 5 for 3, and then suddenly there was no batsman to take charge over there because you'd lost, and you had Dinesh Karthik running out who didn't know. I mean, suddenly you saw Dinesh Karthik is running out. I mean, I thought he'd be tying his shoelaces as he came running out. But whatever. There was no fixed person to take charge of that role, right? Say an Owen Morgan or a Ross Taylor, someone to take charge of that role. Is that something you look forward to here? Saying, okay, let's start grooming that number 4, and let's stop making it a discussion point, and at the end we go back to somebody else.
Correct. It's been a case of musical chairs so far, because I think since Yuvraj Singh's exit, we had about 13 or 14 people who batted at number 4.
And they was trending on Cricbuzz, number 4 on Cricbuzz. That was the hashtag.
So that's been the problem, and it's a problem of your own making. It's not that suddenly you had no players. Shreyas Iyer played against Sri Lanka. I remember him doing well. He went to South Africa, didn't play a game. It was Ajinkya Rahane who had batted 4, and who actually did all right, and then got dropped and didn't go to England, and it just went on from there. Iyer has played only 5 games, is averaging 42, which is quite
I tell
handsome.
you what, I like the strike rate.
But he's played only 5 games.
Yeah.
Only 5 games, and these are not 5 consecutive games. He's played these 5 games in parts. Manish Pandey, he's even more curious case, because that century came, I think, in Sydney. That was 2016.
16.
So 2016, he
3.5
scored a
years.
century, and in 3.5 years, he's played only 18 games, and not all the games at number 4. And there was another curious name actually on that list when we actually had this team sheet. There's no Dinesh Karthik, who played against New Zealand. There was Kedar Jadhav, who did not play that game.
Correct.
So you got Kedar Jadhav, who was perhaps auditioning for number 4 as well. He is also batted. In fact, he scored a century against England at number 5. Another 90 at Eden Gardens against England once again at number 5. 2 very good knocks, quality knocks. And he found himself out of favour, out of the side. Now, you would expect that if you're not building towards 2023, you're still building towards something. That's why there's no Dinesh Karthik. Why not have Dinesh Karthik? He was all right 2 weeks ago. And if you've dropped him and you've picked somebody else, then whether we want to believe it or not, we say it or not, that we're not building towards anything, The fact is that the wind is changing. So you're moving in a different direction. You're moving away from certain players and you're moving
it's-
to with
yeah.
a few players.
It's interesting. We had those two names up there, Zach. I'm reading reports coming from the West Indies. They seem to assume that KL Rahul will bat at number 4 because that is how you started the World Cup with Rahul batting at number 4. Now I'm thinking, okay, you like KL Rahul batting at number 4. He bats at number 4. Six months down the line, Shikhar Dhawan or Rohit Sharma have a hamstring injury. No, I didn't say hamstring because I'm talking to you. But sorry.
My hamstring for a batsman.
नहीं चलो बदल देते
It's a
calf.
thumb
He has made me official doctor on this.
Doctor,
program.
हाँ. On this program, he suddenly uses words that we've never heard before. Only orthopedics and Zach know those words. Okay, calf.
for a headache.
Suppose he has a calf injury. Who's your opening batsman then? Suddenly KL Rahul goes up to open the batting. Again, he leaves behind a hole at 4. So either you say KL Rahul, you're number 4, or you say KL Rahul, you're opening, right?
But I think it all depends on how versatile the player is. Like, if he's able to do two jobs, then that's fine.
But
like,
then your number
so-
4 remains vacant, no?
No, but as long as you're delivering at that number and you're doing what is expected of you at that particular number with the role being assigned to you, or how you're playing the situation. There have been players who have done that in the past. It's not that that they've not been players. It's just that they've tried doing that with KL Rahul and he has not been able to put up the numbers which everyone was expected for him to produce. And what's happening with KL Rahul is KL Rahul has been looked at someone who is got tremendous potential, has got the ability, and that's why you want to give him more chances and opportunities so that he does justice to that that talent which he has. I think when you're talking about number 4 position, what you have to look at it is that if you don't have a ready-made product to be placed at that position, who is going to do the job for you, then you have to make one. And now, how do you make one? By giving opportunities. So I think those numbers, what you're showing at number 4 position, the number of players which they've tried, if you take a different approach, if you go in by saying that, okay, we've identified this batsman as our number 4 batsman, and that's why we are going to give that batsman, say, 30 innings there.
Yeah.
And let him tumble, let him fall, let him score runs, let him be inconsistent, it doesn't matter. But end of it, you will either say that, okay, we found our number 4, or you will say, okay, let's move on to the next guy. So that is something should be the approach, and if you try with that approach, you will find answer. So, the similar case of all-rounder. You've seen it in the past with a lot of selectors, with selecting all-rounders in the team. There's a selecting all-rounders because they wanted all-rounder, right? But the quality of the all-rounder was not to what the position actually desired. So what happens? Eventually, you found someone like Hardik, who you made sure that has got enough opportunities, and then he turned into the all-rounder. He never used to bowl at 10 overs at one go, but you identified that he's got potential to be a bowler who can bowl 10 overs, and then it's about giving that bowler enough opportunities, and eventually he got there.
Have you applied
For what?
the coach's role?
No, I'm just talking about.
No, he's saying all the right things, and I was actually laughing when he said 30. Give him 30 opportunities, not because I don't believe in him, but the fact was that Zach, they gave anybody who played at number 4 for the last 18 months 3 opportunities to fail. The moment they failed thrice, they went to somebody else. Either the guy was actually pushed down the order, so Kedar Jadhav at 4, then Kedar Jadhav at 5, Manish Pandey at 4, and then Manish Pandey out of the side. It just went on for too long.
In course of time, I used to say, look, Rishabh Pant is our number 4. But I see Rishabh Pant being 5, maybe, in course of time. And definitely Hardik Pandya is ready to bat at 6, right?
Yes.
So 5, 6, I think we are okay. Maybe Jadeja at 7 or Krunal at 7, the equivalent of that kind of player at 7. Because between 6 and 7, they'll give you 10 overs. So you're actually going in with about 55 overs in your side. So that only leaves 4. So I think 5, 6 in course of time will be ready. But yes, I enjoyed Zach's comment about giving that much time.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But
he's right.
You have the luxury. When you're saying that you're just concerned about only one batsman at that one position, okay, you have solid top 3, and you have now the finishers who that has got the potential of becoming better as they play more matches. then for that one batsman, those 30 innings is not a big risk you're taking. Okay, and if something comes good, then you've solved the issue for long time.
Just think about it. Yuvraj Singh scored that fantastic 80 against Australia, 2000 Champions Trophy and all that. Yeah. And after that, for 20 odd innings, he didn't really set the world on fire. The same could be said about Virender Sehwag as well. And Viru was actually batting higher up the order. You've got Yuvraj Singh who was supposed to play that pivotal role in winning games. Somebody had the patience to stick with these two guys because they invested, they thought that these are match winners, and they were right. So Saurav Ganguly and the team management, they thought that these two guys are going to deliver eventually. So yes, 30 innings, it may sound a lot at the moment, but if you've got 4 years to build towards something and find only solution to one problem, like he says, 30 innings is only just actually.
Yeah. Okay, what about your number 4? I mean, you've got a point of view too. We've got 3 points of view here. So pick your number 4 from the squad that we put up there. In fact, what you can do is enter this game, my11circle.com. A lot of you are playing it anyway. Download the app. Then select a match, create your team, and see if you can beat Dada. We talked about Dada just now. Somebody did, and made a lot of money during the World Cup. So there you are. There's 2 aspects to it. One, of course, there is a monetary aspect. But 2, when you play this kind of game, there's so much fun. Where if you're playing amongst each other, amongst friends, it becomes a competition amongst each other as well. Now, we talked about context. We talked about the contest. The West Indies only just managed to make the World Cup. They started the World Cup in style. There was just this gale. Look at these hurricanes in the Caribbean. There's a hurricane that came and blew Pakistan away, and then the hurricane just died. So what do West Indies have to offer? This is the squad that they have picked. They go back to Jason Holder as captain, which means Carlos Brathwaite is still their floating player. You don't know if they'll actually play him or no. You don't know if they'll play Evan Lewis because he hasn't scored runs for a while. So they might open with John Campbell again. Who knows? Campbell, Gayle, Hetmeyer, Puran, Hope. That's a lot of batting. Then Holder. Then do you want to play Roston Chase as an off spinner? Because you saw those tracks are a little iffy in Guyana. So you can play Roston Chase or you can play Carlos Brathwaite. Then there's Fabian Allen and 3 fast bowlers. So there you are. Gayle is back though. As I said, I remember telling Michael Holding, I said, Mikey, Gayle is back. He said, is he the selector? Because Gayle had announced his retirement. So my gut feel is, though, that he wants to retire in front of his people. So. But there is no game in Jamaica.
Most number of ODI runs by a West Indian.
But there's no game in Jamaica. After this, they go to Trinidad, don't they? Yeah.
So, you see, I'm actually, yes, as much as we get excited with Christopher Henry Gayle, I am looking at Shai Hope. That's my guy. When I look at this batting lineup, he is the guy who's going to take this team forward in 2 formats, one day and Test cricket. He's got the numbers, he's got the talent, he's got the technique, he's got the temperament, and it was perhaps towards the latter half of the World Cup as well. If he was still scoring runs, this team would have done slightly better. Their batting started collapsing, and Shai Hope was
then
not
he opened some games 3, some games opened some games 3, some. If he's batting at 3, he's allowing the hitters around him, so he'll provide the solidity, isn't it? You got the Purans and the Hetmeyers and the others, so he can bat at
I think one guy in that batting lineup who should bat up the order is Jason Holder himself. The captain needs to bat up because he's a very good player of spin bowling, and especially in ODI format, in those middle overs, it's crucial to keep that scoreboard ticking, and then have a power hitter batting along with you, who is and there's no shortage of those power hitters in that batting lineup for sure with West Indies. I think on this track they will possibly go in with 2 spinners. We've seen in T20 as well, the wicket is assisting some spin. So I think Chase should be back in, and if he's in that batting lineup, then I think the people who can rotate strikes, the number will go higher, which is important with this West Indies batting lineup, because power hitting we've seen, it's either highway or highway to the dressing room. So that something doesn't really help. So for this West Indies batting lineup, on paper it has always looked good. It's important that how they stack up things together.
Aakash knows the numbers because Aakash, as we often say, Aakash gets up and does numbers in the morning. Look at the numbers for West Indies though. Nobody is, in recent years, I think only one team has lost more matches than the West Indies, and that's Sri Lanka. So you want West Indies to win because they're all so popular. They've lost 36 out of 59 games.
That is why they had to qualify.
In the last 2.5 years, correct?
And they were on the brink of not qualifying as well. So when you know that this is what is happening with your team, see, when you look at individuals there, you see potential.
Good point. For the last 7-8 years, we've been saying,
Exactly.
this guy can be a good player, he can be a good player, but he never becomes a good player.
So it's sum of all parts in the end is what works for a team. You can have a couple of outstanding cricketers, but if everybody is not clicking together, gelling well as a team, and then knowing fully well that this is what my team requires at this point in time, it's not about me, it's about my team. So I'll play an ugly innings if needed. I'll actually bide my time and identify a total and see the losses should hurt. So that's the other thing. How much do they hurt this West Indies team? I don't know. We are too far away to
Actually,
actually
there's a very
make a
interesting
judgment.
story just today about Justin Langer when he was playing for Middlesex. And they said in county matches, you play a lot of county matches. Said it didn't hurt as much. So I think Phil Tufnell told the story that he came back and there were the chocolate eclairs lying. So everyone's gone to the chocolate eclairs after they'd lost a game badly. And apparently Langer took the plate of eclairs and just threw them out and said, we lost badly. We're not here to celebrate the eclairs. I don't know if anyone's saying that in West Indies cricket though, but Chris Gayle has had a short flight from Toronto, from Brampton, a suburb just outside to here. That tournament, the game started late. I don't know if it started now, but it didn't start because the players said, we're not going there till you pay us.
Oh,
Yeah, they were not paid.
I thought the match was up and because
No, it didn't
weather.
start.
No.
So I think today they finally did get to the ground, but they were waiting.
That's the problem with T20 league.
The other side of
Across
T20
the
cricket.
globe.
Everyone thinks T20 is this jackpot, you put your money in. No, there's a lot of T20 leagues that are not doing well. I just said that. I remembered that because we were talking about Yuvraj and Yuvraj he got 50 of 22 balls or something. The other day.
21,
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
He's in touch, hitting the ball well.
The Mumbai Indians bowling coach. Right, so there you are. We're waiting for the rain to stop, for play to begin again. But let's find out what's happening. Before that, actually, let's see what the joy factor is. A lot of you tune into this program. You're waiting to match your wits against Joy Bhattacharya. So this is the joy factor for today. We had some tricky ones. Okay, a list that starts with Bruce Taylor. Okay, I'll tell you a story about Bruce Taylor. The last three names are Tom Blundell, Hamish Rutherford, and Jimmy Neesham. So, okay, it's a list that is Bruce Taylor, Tom Blundell. The last three names are Blundell, Rutherford, and Neesham, which is the fourth last name. Joy, so by fourth last, you mean the second, right? Or unless it's a longer list. Oh, there's a lot of time between Bruce Taylor and Tom Blundell. Okay, I'm just confusing all of you. So there you are. Remember to put in hashtag Cricbuzz Live.
No idea.
Bruce Taylor. I saw Bruce Taylor play. The first ever test match of my life, Bruce Taylor was playing.
Which year was that, Harsha?
Mat puchna.
There was a purpose that I asked you that question.
You know, I was a kid and I tell my father, I want to go and see test match. And he would say, you name me the 11. If you name me the 11, you can go. So I remember it was 66. I was this little kid just learned to walk. And I said, I want to watch West Indies play. I didn't know the names of the West Indies players, so I couldn't go. By 69, that New Zealand side, I still remember the playing 11. Bruce Taylor was in that side. But anyway, it's this program, not about me. These two young men shaking their head and saying, "Kab ki baat kar raha hai?" Don Bradman wasn't playing there, and W.J. Grace wasn't playing either. Right, what's the update then for you? Remember, this comes to you in association with the Weather Channel. Scattered thunderstorms in the morning, but as we speak, it's clearing up. The afternoons are partly cloudy, evenings are partly cloudy. Chance of rain is much less. So hopefully, once the 75% is blown over, then maybe we will see more rain. We'll of course keep you informed on that. It is the world's most downloaded weather app, so they're actually looking at the conditions there. But half an hour ago it was pouring, but it will go. This ground has drained, by the way. It's not like the old border where once it rained, then you could generally come back 3 days later. But this one's all right. So there you are. We'll of course come back with Zach and Aakash for a few minutes once the toss is done and the teams are announced. Till then, I know you enjoyed watching Cricbuzz Live. Just find something else to do and we'll come back to you.